How's it going, everybody? My name is Chase Keep and welcome to my channel. Recently, I have heard from a bunch of people who are just starting out on their minimalist journey. They are just beginning to practice a minimalism type of lifestyle, and it's been really cool and uplifting to actually talk to people about their journey just as it's beginning. And because I've heard from so many people about this exact topic, and also just as someone who has practiced minimalism for a few years now, I really thought that it would be cool to make a video and get it up here on YouTube today, just kind of aimed at those people who are just starting out, trying to become minimalist, trying to practice that lifestyle and see how it can benefit them in the future. I really wanted to make a video for you guys right here today. So I came up with basically 10 tips for anybody who is a beginner at minimalism, right? Who is just starting out on this journey, just trying to get started, and they just want some tips, some little tips and tricks that I've learned along the way that can hopefully help you and inspire you to just start to get on this process, get started, and live that minimalist life. These 10 tips aren't in any type of order. They're not in order by time or by importance or anything like that. They're just 10 tips that I think can help somebody out. And honestly, all I really want is for one person out there watching to take and be inspired by one of these tips. That's it. If one person can be inspired by something that I say in this video, this is going to be a massive success for me. That is so cool to actually think about that happening, and that's really my whole goal with videos like this. So I hope somebody can take something from these tips, and with that, let's get started, starting with tip number 1. All right, my first tip for you guys is actually something that I really didn't hear for a while when I was starting this minimalist journey out, but it's really a cool concept and I wanted to share it today. So basically, one of the best ways to keep yourself from spending money on things that you don't need and splurge buying things and basically wasting your money, one of the best ways to actually not do that is to cut down on the amount of space that you have for items like that. And I know you're probably sitting there wondering, like, what does he even mean by that? But honestly, think about it. If you have a massive house filled with just empty rooms and empty cupboards and shelves and storage spaces, you're gonna find a way to buy things to put in that space. And I know that example is kind of strange because most people don't have a massive empty house, right? But even if you have a small apartment and you have some shelves or some cupboards or a dresser that has some empty things, you're gonna just find ways to buy things to go in there. But in reality, the whole goal of minimalism is to cut down on those things that you don't need, right? So what you can really do to actually help yourself is to get rid of things like that. Take away storage spaces that are sitting in your house that are empty, because that will just tempt you to buy things in the future. Cut down on the amount of space around you, and you will find that with that, you spend less money, you don't waste as much money, and you're living a more intentional life, and therefore being a minimalist. My second tip is to really classify all of the items you own and look for things that you could call just-in-case items. And you're probably wondering what I mean by that as well. And really, a just-in-case item is something that you keep, you don't use it almost ever, but you just keep it around with you just in case it's actually useful for one day in your life. Usually these items are so incredibly random that they're just not useful to you, right? But you keep them and keep them and keep them thinking, one day I'm gonna need this, one day I'm gonna need this, one day I'm gonna need this. When in reality, you probably never will need that item. And what you should really do is look to get rid of it right now. Instead of just keeping it for just in case something happens one day, just get rid of it. Cut that away from your life and you'll probably be better off in the long run. My third tip for you guys is to find things that are multi-purpose. If there's ever anything that you can buy that's multi-purpose and basically allows you to consolidate a bunch of the things that you own into one item, you should absolutely do it. I've talked about this on a video previously, so you can check that out up above, but basically anything like shoes, right? Instead of owning like 10 pairs of shoes and using one for each individual event or for some different type of activity, try to buy just one pair of shoes and use it all of the time. This is something that I absolutely do. I have just one pair of tennis shoes that I will wear to everything, whether I'm hiking, hanging out with friends, going somewhere kind of nice, doing whatever it is. I just wear that exact same type of shoes, and I don't have to buy like 10 pairs of shoes. So it saves me a bunch of money and also cuts down on just the material things that I own, which is just a personal goal of mine. I enjoy doing that. The same thing can apply to backpacks and bags, right? Instead of having a backpack for hiking, a backpack for hanging out with friends, a backpack for traveling, a duffel bag for traveling, all of those things, just try and get one bag that can do all of those things for you. It'll really save you a bunch of money and a bunch of just space in your life. And again, that's one of the goals of minimalism. My fourth tip for you guys, I don't know why I did that. That's a weird angle and a weird image, but my fourth tip is basically that you don't need multiple items of most of the things that you own. This is something that I found out after just like years of practicing and just trying to be a better minimalist over time, and I really found out that I don't need multiple of many things. One way that this really affected my life was actually in the kitchen. I used to think that I needed a bunch of different pots and pans so that if I was ever cooking things at the same time, I could do it all at the same time and not have to worry about it. I needed a bunch of different plates so that I would never have to wash the dishes really and stuff like that. And I realized that that was totally a misconception. If I really just had one pot, one pan, I could cook 99% of the things that I ever needed to eat. And anytime that I actually needed a second one, I could borrow it from a friend or go somewhere else, go to a friend's house and cook there. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just really wasn't something that I needed. Even though at the time I thought it was important, I thought it was necessary, it absolutely was not. So that's one thing. Just anything that you have in life that you just think you need multiple of, try living with just one. It'll save you some money in the long term. Like, for me personally, I didn't have to buy a bunch of extra pots and pans and kitchen utensils and stuff. And I know this is making me sound like I only use like one fork or one spoon, which is not true. I have multiple utensils, I guess, but I think I could live with just one. Now I'm interested. Now I want to see if I could live and survive with one fork. I guess you might be seeing a video about that in the future, so if you don't want to miss that video, be sure to subscribe down below so that you never miss an upload about me living with just one fork, one spoon, and one knife. Tip number 5 is that you should budget. This is one of the biggest things about minimalism that a lot of people don't really think about, especially when they're just starting on this journey. They don't really put in their minds that budgeting and this financial aspect of things really has anything to do with minimalism, but it is a massively important thing. If you can successfully always implement a budget for your spending every single month, every week, every day, every year, you will really find that minimalism is actually something that just kind of comes naturally because of your spending habits. Honestly, you can achieve a minimalist life, which, by the way, there's no way to actually define whether or not you're a minimalist, so I say that pretty vaguely. But one of the best ways to actually achieve that life is absolutely to just stop buying things that you don't need entirely, right? So budgeting is absolutely a huge way of doing this. If you can successfully put your money into places where you're not going to spend it on items that you don't need, you're going to be a successful minimalist because you just don't have the money and you don't feel tempted to buy things that you don't need. And that is why budgeting is so hugely important. A lot of people really undervalue how massive budgeting can be, and it's a really simple task, and once you do it a few times, it really is straightforward and going to be very, I will say it again, very beneficial for you in the future, in the long term. So really look into budgeting as something that, as you start this minimalist journey, really try to implement it in your life and see how you can do it all the time. If you can, get it down to literally a day-by-day thing, week by week. See how beneficial it really is. My 6th tip is a great one. I love saying this one. I say it to all of my friends all the time. They hate it, but honestly, every single item that you buy is 100% off if you don't buy it. Wait, does that make any sense? No, it absolutely does not. Okay, but honestly, what I mean by this is a lot of people are tempted to buy things when they see that they're on sale, and they think that a sale is such a good deal that they need to buy it. A phrase that I hear all the time is that something was such a good deal that they couldn't afford not to buy it. And I think that is the craziest thing to say ever. Honestly, every single item is 100% off if you don't buy it. It's a great way to keep yourself from being tempted by actually good deals on things that you don't need, right? So you're walking through the store and you see a television that's like 50% off and you think, wow, that's 50% off. That's an amazing deal. I should buy that. But then you think to yourself, it's 100% off if I don't buy it. I don't need that television and I will be fine. Boom, you're done. You just saved yourself 100% of that money, and that's just going to set you up for more success in the long term. Or at least it will set you up for success in the long term if you follow my 7th tip, which is to actively pursue a long-term goal when it comes to minimalism. I really think a lot of people start this minimalist journey thinking that they just want to cut down on the things around them, and if they can just get rid of things for the next couple of weeks, they'll be fine. They'll be a minimalist, they will live life, and it'll just be better. And while I wish that I could just tell you that straight up, it's really an optimistic viewpoint. And the reality is, if you don't have a long-term goal when it comes to minimalism, you might find yourself relapsing, you might find yourself forming bad habits along the way, and you really just want to cut those down as much as you can. And the best way to do that is to set up this long-term goal. Have something in mind that you're trying to achieve using minimalism as kind of a tool to get that goal achieved faster. My minimalist journey really started when I realized that I wasn't going to be able to be financially independent until I paid off all of my student loans from college. And the minute that I really realized that, I decided that I needed to cut down on all my spending and just start saving as much money as I possibly could so that I could pay off college loans as soon as possible. And that's exactly what I did. That's still my long-term goal today, is to try and pay off those loans as quickly as possible. And I'm going to be honest, if it weren't for that long-term goal, right? If it weren't for this goal in mind of one day paying off my student loans and becoming financially independent, I don't know how successful I could have been at minimalism, because there would have been nothing keeping me going, keeping me on that straight and narrow track towards that goal. I don't know how successful it would have been. So that's definitely a tip that I would give for everybody who's just starting out. Try and find something in the future that they're aiming for, whether it's a nice brand new house or a trip overseas, somewhere that you've always wanted to go, or becoming financially independent like myself. Just find something like that that'll really keep you on course for achieving those goals, and being a minimalist is just going to become something that you can do that helps you towards that goal, and it's going to feel good every single time that you take a step towards achieving that goal. I feel like I said achieving that goal a ton in that last section, so my bad. My 8th tip is something that you can actually do right now. It only takes a second of your time, and it's scrolling down right below this video and turning that like button blue. It really helps me out. Turning that like button blue will really help the YouTube algorithm push this video to more and more people. So if you could do that, it would really help me out and mean a lot to me, and just help this video get pushed to more and more people that are starting on their journey of minimalism, and hopefully help them a little bit more themselves. So especially if this video has helped you or inspired you in any way, remember to turn that like button blue so that more people can feel this exact same way. I'm going to take your word for granted that you did turn that like button blue, and now we will get back to it with the real tip number 8. And this one is to actually routinely practice living with less. And this is a strange topic. It's definitely not something that you hear a lot of people telling you to do, right? So I totally understand if you're a little put off by me saying that right now. But what I mean is to actually try and live a few days without something that right now you think is absolutely necessary. And no, I don't mean like exercise or water or air or something like that. I mean something that you might consider necessary right now is having brand new food every single week. If you're someone who goes grocery shopping once a week, you're probably going to think that you need to go every single week, or bad things are going to happen. Actually, what you can do is try to extend your food supply over the course of an extra week. Just don't go grocery shopping at all. Make it last for 2 weeks instead of the normal 1 week, and see how far that food supply can get you. This will do many things for you. For one, it'll actually just save you a little bit of money in the long term, right? By extending your food supply 2 weeks instead of 1, you're actively spending less over the course of each of those weeks, which is, again, one of the goals of financial minimalism and minimalism in general, right? To save some money. But also, you're going to see that the food supply that you buy in a normal week can actually last you a lot longer than you originally thought that it could. And that's a pretty powerful thing, because honestly, what you'll see is that now you're not going to feel as pressured all the time to go to the store exactly in a week. Maybe in the future, you'll start actively and routinely going to the grocery store for 2 weeks, maybe extend that to 3 weeks, maybe extend that to the full month, until eventually your monthly expenses in terms of food are just starting to kind of creep downwards a little bit and a little bit. And that's just a goal. And food is just an example. You can do this with almost anything in your life, right? Try to go a week without using like the dishwasher, so you can save a little bit of money on your electricity bill or water bill, whichever one that falls into. This can also apply to something in the digital minimalism realm, right? Try to go a week without scrolling through Instagram, without scrolling through Twitter, things like that, and just see how your life is different, or in some cases completely the same. And I know it's a little bit of a weird tip, but honestly, just try it out for yourself, see how it works, and it might help you in the long term just kind of be a better minimalist and kind of practice healthier minimalist habits. My 9th tip is that you should absolutely just try to actively appreciate the things that you already own. This is something that not a lot of people think about when they talk about minimalism, right? When a lot of people think about minimalism, they usually immediately think about all the things that they're going to throw away and get rid of because they don't need anymore. But in reality, one of the healthiest things that you can do is just go through all the things in your life that you really do need and value and cherish, and just think about how important those things are. The more that you appreciate the things that you already have, the less tempted you're going to be to go out and feel like you need more things in the future. For instance, if you feel like you really appreciate the iPhone that you currently have, you're going to be a lot less tempted by the brand new version of the iPhone that's coming out in a month. And realistically, it's just something about minimalism that I think you should absolutely practice as often as you can. Just appreciate the things that you own. That's going to make the minimalism lifestyle, it's going to make it all so much better for you, so much more fulfilling for you if you can appreciate the things that you own. Instead, if you try to practice minimalism but are constantly feeling like you need more things or that you don't have enough in your life, it's just going to be a struggle. It's just going to be negative pressure on yourself, and I really wouldn't wish that on anybody in the world. So just try out this tip even before you start minimalism. Look at all the things that you own and just try to have some appreciation for each of them individually. And that brings me to my 10th and final tip of the day. For anybody out there who's just starting their minimalist journey, I hope these tips have been helpful for you. But my final one is a little bit of a cliche. You've absolutely heard it before if you've looked into minimalism, especially here on like YouTube, watching videos about it or anything. But really, it's a cliche, but I really do think that it's important to keep in the back of your mind while you're trying to practice and start this minimalist journey. And basically, what they all say is that less is more, and I truly believe that that is the case. Less really can be more, and minimalism is the best way, in my opinion, of learning that for yourself. Owning fewer things in life does so much for you. I really can't talk about it all in one video, or especially right here at the end of this video. That's just deserves a video on its own. But honestly, like, having fewer things in life, it not only does it save you money and it saves you the hassle of having things, it just allows your mind to focus on a bunch of other things in life, like your family or your friends or your social life or work or whatever you want it to be. It can really free up your mind and allow you to live your best life. I mean, that's really one of the best things that minimalism can do, is it can influence you and inspire you to be your best version of yourself. And that's just so cool that this way of living can do that and promote that. And that's really why I do it so much. And it's one of the main reasons why I've been able to keep at it for the years that I have been, and why I'm right here in front of you today talking about it on YouTube. And that wraps up my 10 tips for anybody who is just starting out on their minimalist journey and just trying to get started, looking for some advice to inspire them and hopefully help them forward a little bit. And honestly, like I said at the beginning of the video, I hope that one person out there can watch this video and take in and be inspired by one of the things that I said. Again, I would consider that a success in and of itself. That'd be so cool. I love that aspect of being on YouTube and just trying to help people out there. So hopefully this video was successful in that way. If you guys liked it and really found it to be useful at all, it would really do me a massive, massive, massive favor to turn that like button blue, so this video can get pushed to more and more people via the YouTube algorithm. Again, the like button is a massive way of helping push that. And then also subscribe to this video so you do not miss any more videos in the future. I upload every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and you don't want to miss a single one. If you like this video, you will like more of those in the future as well. But with that, I hope you guys are having an amazingly frugal day, and I will see you all again next time.